Hello, my friends. I am Nathaniel Kiss, and you are watching Alabaster Kingdom, a very special Dice Friends presentation. We are going to be running a 5 sessions, 5E actual play dungeon, horror-based campaign of the Dragon game, and I got some awesome players that I would like to introduce you to. So let's start off with our first player, Chantel.
Hi, I am Chantel B. You can find me on Twitter at Chantel B. And today I will be playing Lailai, who is a changeling druid of the grassland variety.
Awesome.
Hi, my name is Laurent Reedus, he, him. You can find me on Twitter and YouTube at Reedus101, Readus, the number 1, the number 0, the number 1, and I will be playing Wallace Bullhard, the Draconic Fighter.
Hey friends, my name is Courtney, pronouns they, them. I will be playing Barnaby, the slightly dehydrated Leonin Berserker. In the event you want to know more about what else I'm doing, just look for Sparkly Kiss on any social media platform. It's probably me.
I suppose that leaves me to round out our party. Hi, my name is Noord Ali Kadir. My pronouns are he, him. You can catch me online at Werewolf Feels. And yes, you can call me Werewolf if you really, really want to. I am playing Coh'Jak Satya, whose pronouns are he, they, a celestial warlock. Their teeth are pointy, their ears are pointy, and so is their glaive.
Awesome. Before we hop in, I just want to throw in a few house rules for this session and this campaign. The first one being, I'm not going to look at the chat, and you're probably chatting in right now, telling everyone how much you think we are awesome and wonderful. Thank you for that. Still can't read it. Keep on chatting and keep on engaging in that little text box next to us. We won't be able to see it, but we appreciate the engagement. Also, if we're playing wrong and you want to let us know that we're playing wrong, too bad. We still can't read it. That changes nothing at all. The other special part of this campaign are critical hits. Instead of just doubling the dice when we roll criticals, in this game, critical hits means max possible damage. Doubled, of course. So double max damage, always the max damage, and that goes both ways. So also, everyone else, beware of those natural 20s and whatnot. Besides that, I'll think of any other rules as we come across them. But with nothing else to do, let's just start the campaign. So players, are you all ready?
Yes.
Awesome. Once again, I'm
Ready
Daniel
as we'll
Kiss,
ever be.
aka What Is Kiss, aka Midwestern Waste, pronouns he and they, and let's begin. And for our 4 players, I am going to start this right at the base of a mountainside village. The weather matching the season, very snowy. A light snowfall that accumulated over the course of several days that led to high banks of snow off the sides of all trails. Only the paths that have been used give a easy passageway in and out of this small village. The 4 of you enter this village together. After a long journey, and before that, an even longer journey, and before that, a journey twice as long as the other 2 put together. And it all started with a curse. One that wasn't as quite noticeable at first, but over the course of time became more and more apparent. Unfortunately, the major effects of this curse has to deal with forgetfulness. The 4 of you have been tasked with the uneasy objective of figuring out the cause of the curse and putting an end to it. From the start of your mission, you've each began your own independent journey, and it's taking you through different places, It's even led you all to cross paths one another. And the four of you are all brought here just to get an idea of the kind of journey that each character went through. What were some of the major things that probably stuck out to each of your individual characters?
For Lailai, some of the things that stuck out would have been helping villagers in a town that seems to be sinking. Helping other people for reasons that they don't fully understand. Largely just helping people, but not really knowing why by the end of the time that they've helped. And doing what they can to heal people before they're not sure before what, but some healing people.
Gotcha.
For Wallace, it was more along the lines of making sure, like Lailai, individuals within his home, his newly formed homestead, were secure and safe, taken care for. At the same time, meeting some individuals, Barnaby, for instance, and just making sure that certain things were taken care of around town. But memory has always been a funny thing with Wallace, so it itches at him, but probably not in the same way as he's noticed it in other people.
Well, for Barnaby, his background is deeply rooted in one of care. He was uprooted from his home in a very weird way that's blanked out to him and was put into a servitude as a gladiator and performer. And upon breaking free from that, found his own band of ruffians, we'll call them, and made an effort to change things from the level that they could impact. And upon meeting folks like Wallace and getting to the point where we are now at the base of this village, Barnaby's always known he's needed to help, and having vague memories of a life before wasn't too difficult for him to separate from the crowd he was running with.
It's the loss. There's just so many empty spaces left by this curse. Faces that no one can remember. Statues that no one can claim. History is just empty. And without history, what do we have?
Awesome. I want to touch on that loss part. The curse that began, that you all started tracking, first occurred around 5 years ago. Since then, more and more people have forgotten. More and more things have been forgotten. Across this entire journey, you've all had your own run-ins and personal experiences with your own past, your own memories, your own loss. Yet something this entire journey has let the four of you hold on to something where for others it slipped away. When you first get to this town, I feel like this is whatever sort of like, starting equipment and inventory, MacGuffin items you all have. You can dump them all out of like your special like quest item satchel. And if you put everything on the table, the all the pieces will come together, all the clues kind of coalesces to reaffirm that you're all in the right place. Whatever is causing this curse, this death chattel, it's here. You can't really tell it by any commotions throughout the towns, through the look on people's faces, or through any signs, literal signs, just because it doesn't seem to be a problem to anyone else. They aren't aware that a problem is even taken place. They're completely ignorant to the fact that they are still under the curse. That is everyone except for one person. I would give you all this freedom right now to tell me what your characters would do. You are on your mission, and all of the arrows point to this place. Your lead to this town is that it's on the base of a mountain, with whatever is happening probably coming from the top of that mountain. Where would Lailai, Wallace, Barnaby, or Coh'Jak seek out first?
Well, I'd imagine we'd probably ask around, right?
Yeah, I think Barnaby would like to ask around about who is the village leader, the elders, who runs this place.
Awesome. Would you like to give me a baseline investigation check, or you can use a charisma skill check to ask around? What would you like to do for Barnaby?
We're going to roll with charisma because he's not the smartest boy. Looks like 15.
Awesome. So Barnaby, being as big and loud as they are, I guess kind of calls for the attention of any and everyone that is willing to listen to them. Can you describe what that might look or sound like for us?
So it definitely would be, because Barnaby's got this like huge axe that's like almost his height. He would strut into the town square, kind of have his arms draped over it, and be like, "Citizens, villagers, people, who runs this place? You there, you look like someone who knows what's up and who's in charge. May I have your name?" And just points to a random guy.
There is a person taking down and switching out signs on like a community board, and they go, "Who, me?"
"Yes, sir, absolutely, you. Might you be able to tell us?"
Everyone else kind of murmurs and kind of like separates and takes a step back, so it's the only person kind of still standing there. You see this older humanoid just kind of look to either side just to make sure that they are the only person still ahead in line. And they kind of slowly, just cautiously step towards Barnaby, who's feet taller than this person, as they kind of look up with old and crinkly papers in one hand, with fresh new papers ready to be applied with adhesive in the other. How can I help you?
You seem to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Well acquainted with this village based on your stature and what seems to be an incredibly important role. What might you tell us? Are you the leader of this here village? And Barnaby would take one step to get really close to this guy.
Oh, I guess you were right to make an assumption about my role to my stature. I changed the board. I run the leaderboard. This is where all the leaders of the villages submit their writings to add to the board. I was just refreshing the board, but I would love to help you. You are...
The name's Barnaby, and who might you be, dear friend?
I'm Ralph.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Ralph.
That's Ralph with 2 F's.
2 F's. I'm quite familiar with a few F's myself, Ralph. And then he would just kind of bump elbows with the little man.
You knock him over. Oh, my papers! And he starts collecting the papers, separating the wrinkly old papers with the fresh new papers with adhesive on the back.
My apologies.
Oh, no worry, it happens. I just have poor balance. Ralph looks past Barnaby. Are the others with Barnaby?
Yes.
Are these your companions?
Why, absolutely. Friends, gather. Introduce yourself to the leader, Ralph.
Oh.
Wallace...
He's the leader of the board, he says.
Wallace saw all of this, and in the midst of trying to get information, just seeing Barnaby do all this, within every time he makes a gesture to that seems to throw this young individual off, he just goes and then by the time Barnaby's ready to introduce everyone, is yes, my name is Wallace. Wallace Bullhard.
Pleasure to meet you too. And the others?
Lailai.
Coh'Jak.
Oh, wow. Well, glad to be acquainted with you all. But I was just putting up more information here, and to be quite honest, I feel that the board might be more of a use than me. I just put the papers up on the board.
Nonsense. If it wasn't for you, then there would be no papers.
And no board.
Well, people get the papers from the trees, and the board also came from the trees. I think this is more the trees doing than little old Rolf here, but
I put one hand on their shoulder.
Oh.
Everything comes from something, but it's the person who puts them together that makes it happen. You're that person. Don't discount yourself.
Thank you very much. You are all very as kind as you are breathed. Well, how can I help you, Barnaby and friends?
We just wish to know more about this town you're in, and if anyone has traversed that mountain. And Barnaby points at it.
Barnaby, you casually just point over at the mountain that seems
the most
to
obvious
be...
thing, yes.
It's the most obvious, and at the same time the most ominous. This mountain that goes high, soaring well above like the low stratosphere that's been just sort of held into place by the cold air and the snow and the heavy clouds that keeps all of it condensed and just compact, and then it just kind of pierces right through, and you can kind of get like this nice little this sight line where you see just a bit of the sun coming right behind the mountain, but it being so large and mountainous blocks out most of it, where just a sliver of sunbeam comes through. But instead of it looking like a beacon or some sort of like lighthouse effect, it just makes it look that much more terrifying now that it's sort of lit behind this sort of celestial halo. And as you kind of like look up the side of the mountain, you see that the clouds towards the top get even darker as the light gray of the heavy cumulus clouds kind of blend into a more nimble stratific cloud, where you see slight slivers of lightning breaking through on the very top. And Ralph goes, "Oh, that mountain?"
Yeah, Barnaby points to it like a child would go, "Look, Mom, a dog." Anyone gone up there lately?
Not to my recall, as Ralph pulls another paper off. We tend to leave the mountain alone. Ralph pulls his hand up and takes off another sheet of paper and places a new one on top. But if you wish to check out what's up there, I suggest, of course, acquiring a proper guide, and make sure you stay on the very well-worn paths heading up as they rip down another old piece of paper and they plop a new one up.
And where will we find? Someone to help guide us there?
Ralph matter-of-factly just kind of turns around to Wallace and begins to utter a sentence before taking pause. Taking a step back and recalling in their head, I think they might be out. And just as quickly as their decision to answer came back, that thought just kind of ends, and they go right back to pulling off another piece of paper and putting up a brand new one on the board.
Insight check.
Of course. Give me that insight roll. And what are you checking for, my friend?
I mean, it's quite simple. Did what happened to him? Was this the curse? 19.
By looking at his expression, there is nothing that would be that easy as a giveaway. It might have been just sort of a, brief lapse in thought, simple brain fart. Until you look at the papers that they're taking down, you see faces of people, similar to missing person papers, but not as thorough. You see pictures of faces, homes, people standing outside of huge projects, a large building put together for the community with several people out front with blanks on the paper, as if something was removed from a painting. Something was just washed out, photoshopped and edited over any sort of carvings, statues, just pieces missing. It seems right along with what the curse has been doing.
Why didn't you let me hold those for you?
Oh, thank you. Do you reach for the old papers or the clean papers?
The ones with the missing pieces.
He hands you the stack of the wrinkly old papers that he seems to be taking off of the board and replacing with new papers.
Can I have a look at the new papers?
Oh, yeah. Any of the ones that are left up simply just have a sort of... I guess daily announcements. If you remember, like, if you ever went to like a school where they just like give you like those printouts on colored paper of like, we got a fall dance, we got an ice cream social, spaghetti dinner. A lot of paper for just a little bits of information, which very, very differently from the older piece of papers, which seems to be filled out with more information. And as you look over again, kind of comparing the information from the old pieces of paper with the new pieces of paper, you see a bigger part that seems to be missing are community members, active roles, duties, people of any sort of importance or any note, to kind of mention them, talk about them, share what they do. There seems to be less and less information given. And just like for Coh'Jak, and saying to you, Lailai, this reeks of the death chattel all over.
You say that you mostly avoid the mountain, right?
I've had no reason to go up there myself. I mean, oh, thank you. He hands you another old piece of paper as I take a clean one and blast it back up. But I would think, and just as the moment, the door into this community area just blasts wide open as a gust of wind accompanies someone who just is just standing there, breathing very heavily, both hands on either side of the door, as they just kind of look around wildly. They walk in, taking 2 steps before stumbling over a chair, just catching himself on the table, knocking down another chair. Several other people go around this person as they try to help them up and sit them down on the chair, and their hands seem to be covered in frost. The facial hair that barely covers their face also seems to be frosted at the tips. Their lips chapped and cracked, as their eyes very wild, bloodshot, with even more frost starting to develop, like right underneath on their eyelashes, on their eyelids, on their nose. This is someone who seems to be all types of distraught, as well as seems to walked right out of a blizzard, very different from the light snow that is following from the sky above.
Is there a fireplace nearby?
Yes.
Is it being utilized?
There is a low flame. I think the last person who probably fed it must have been like in well over 2 hours ago.
Well, I'm gonna go over to the fireplace and I'm gonna create bonfire there and give it a little pep, put a little pep in its step.
How does Wallace create this bonfire?
Wallace, he takes both of his hands as if he's about to warm them, and then he just pushes outward, and his eyes glow underneath his sunglasses, and a low growl comes from the palms of his hands, and a bit of warmth flows from them to the embers, and they catch a flame.
The room immediately just starts to rise in temperature, as this person who just came in just starts to looking over at this large red tinted bowl, just create this fireball, this controlled fireball. As words try to fall out their mouth,
Come on now, come on. Get as close as you can.
The nearest drink, and they just kind of throw it back in their face, just trying to thaw, or at least trying to rejuvenate any type of muscles or any type of fluid, just so they can get these words out. And they just run up to you, Wallace, grabbing you by each side of your coat, and they just help. It's something, help.
What do you need?
Something up there. They took them.
Now calm down. You're no good at stuttering mess. And I put an arm over him. I'm trying to get his just rub him a bit before I sit him by the fire. It's like once you're settled, just
We
call.
don't have time, Wallace. We don't have time.
Well, he's not in any state to tell us what's going on.
Does he
And
look
soon
injured?
he won't.
Looking injured, besides just this frantic look on their face and the frosting upon their body, low frostbite. There might be something else without like some time to kind of like sit and actually give them like a once over or physical. It's hard to tell if there's any additional anything additional wrong with them.
I'm gonna he's sitting down now, right?
Mhm.
They're sitting down. So Coh'Jak is going to go around to turn right in front of them, kneel down onto one knee, grasp their hand. I'm going to cast Prestidigitation to warm them up, because that's something you can do. No ice, please. Don't icicle them anymore. Bad ice. Tell me everything.
So when you do prestidigitation, is it you just warm yourself up? And by...
It's weird. So I'm going to use a cultural touchstone that I don't really love, but hear me out. If anyone who has watched Marvel's Iron Fist on Netflix,
Okay.
but like you remember,
That's strike one.
yeah. This is my only episode, so I'm going to use it effectively. No, when he makes the Iron Fist, light, like you can see the light through their skin, through Danny Rand's skin. So there's a warmish, yellowish light creeping up through the veins in the back of like Coh'Jak's hand, and you can see that light pass from Coh'Jak into this person.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
From
No other way to say it.
the dual effects of take a point of inspiration. What? That's only because it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be when you invoke Netflix's Iron Fist. Through the combination of the prestidigitation and the bonfire that kind of warmed up the entire room. Both of these magical abilities give this person enough energy to get their entire thought out. However, their story sounds a bit odd. After they're able to get their breath, they tell you all that while at the base of the mountain, not that far out of the village, they were just hunting, doing what they usually do. The partner they were hunting with, though, well, they didn't make it back. The person that came in says something was probably out there with them. They felt that they were being tracked at one point. All of a sudden, a snowstorm, it seems like, came and went. Just as quickly as they were caught in it, the rest of the blizzard started to move right past them and left them frozen, whipped around, completely discombobulated. Their friend was nowhere to be seen. The storm was still moving back towards the side of the mountain. They thought, well, their best course of action was heading the opposite way, back towards the village. They tried to search their brain for more information, but it seems that the longer that they try to think about it, the more they recount their story. It might just be the trauma from the entire experience, or something else might have gotten to them.
I see like a possible, like either one of these three checks could possibly do it, but I want to look at this person and gather as much information as I can through their clothing, their like the dirt on their shoes, that kind of thing, as to where they actually came from. Like I want to be able to, when I go out there, pinpoint where they were as best as I can through looking at them and what they were at. You know.
And then
Could
if
you
I
give me
could
an
add
inspe-
to that,
Oh.
oops, sorry.
First let me get an investigation check, and then let me get what Barnaby has.
Oh, that's only a 10. Inspiration. What? That's an 18.
Cool. I got a bunch of information for you. And was that a help for the investigation check that Barnaby wanted to do? Or is there something else that you want to add?
Barnaby was hoping to ask because if you can tell by how he is dressed, he's not dressed for cold weather, and it seems like got here pretty comfortable with the light snowfall, and mostly just has questions of if this was at the base of the mountain and this happened to you, how bad is it further up? because Barnaby's going to have to do some shopping if that's the case.
You all have enough equipment going through here, going to
Okay.
the snowy parts. You're all taking care of that.
Still got a crop top either way.
It's a winter crop top, baby. From that 18, though, the 18 from investigation, the story checks out. The garb, the type of gear that they have, the side weapons and the tools that they seem to be carrying with them, even the amount of stubble from their unshaven face gives credit to the fact that they were probably out for the woods for quite a while. And this is someone who seems to be capable enough to survive any type of roughing it in the wilderness for X amount of time. Another thing kind of sticks out for you as you look back down at the papers that you're holding. And you see an old little poster up. And it's essentially just like a... just this universe's version of just like a fishing picture. Just like, look what the boys brought in from the lake. And it's just like 12 different humanoids of various various ancestries, just kind of standing next to each other with like this huge, long, like aboleth-like sea creature, but less psychic powery, more just prehistoric and big in length and size and whatnot. And you're able to make the connection that this person who seems to be cold and out of it with a lost buddy back up the mountain is also pictured here in this photo holding a big old fish. It's not an aboleth. I saw that face. It's not an aboleth, I promise. Or is it? But this is definitely someone who is from the village, who does seem to be going to the mountain, at least has gone to the mountain beforehand, as told by the paper that you've picked up. And probably one of the other 11 people in this picture might be their friend that they left behind. They kind of turn to you with their hands still in your hands, as like the steam from the snow is kind of like coming up from their body as they're being warmed up by your touch. As they look you in the eyes and they just say, can you help me?
Yes, of course we will.
Upon accepting that, anyone there in that space takes upon the person to make sure that they are recovered. They show you exactly the path that most people take to get up the side of that mountain, which also kind of aligns with the direction you were already heading to kind of figure out the cause of this curse. Funny how that works out. Wink. Wink
Coincidences on coincidences, of course, yes.
All right. 40 minutes in, we haven't broke the campaign yet. Awesome. But you have all the information, everything on the maps, and anything else you might need to get through the difficult terrain heading up towards the mountain right in front of you. Are you all ready to go?
Before we leave, I have one more question I want to ask them. I want to show them that image of the fishing image. Who do you recognize? And who do you don't?
They take a look at the picture for a moment, and their eyes get really big, and it starts to well for a moment as tears start kind of growing into bigger and bigger pools in the bottom of their eyes. And they kind of look up at you and look back down, looking back at you, hoping that you would tell them. But they just kind of shake their head and they just go, I think I was here that day. At least I could remember it, but I don't remember this picture.
Do you remember the people around, the other people?
And I think this is the moment where they try to search, knowing that this answer lies in them. But instead of finding it, they break down with more tears. And they just kind of say to themselves, it's not coming together. It doesn't fit.
It's all right. It's not your fault.
Wallace is going to place a hand on the individual's shoulder and just give it a gentle squeeze.
Now, from the check you made earlier, it's pretty easy that you've all encountered the death chattel in some way before. You all know that depending on where you all are, the curse affects people at varying lengths. This town here has probably been affected the most. The reactions that people have to seeing anything they might have forgotten or anyone that they might have lost, instead of being sort of this vagueness of deja vu, seems to go into immediate grief. It causes more distress than it does confusion.
Before we press on, Barnaby would like to ask just like 2 questions real quick. The first one is, typically folks like you don't go on these hunting excursions alone, correct?
No, we at least partner up to be safe, but I don't know why I went out there by myself.
Friend, could you point to us on this horizon whereabouts this storm hit you? And then could you also tell us your name?
Derek, I was right over here, and they given like a map of where the town is. They point no more than like 5 kilometers outside of the village area, or like the nearest sort of farmstead or tended plot before it just gets into like the thick of the woods. And even then, there's another 20 kilometers between the far end of the woods to the base of the mountain.
All right, friend Derek, it's a pleasure to meet you. Barnaby would extend his little clawed paw to shake his hand. I'll do my best to be the hero that you need. And he winks.
Before we leave, Lailai would like to ask the earth or the ground what it thinks about the mountain.
Would you like to do a nature check for me, my friend?
I would. A natural 20.
A natural 20.
It is natural.
You tap into your druidic powers and abilities. You're a grassland druid. I don't want to assume you just talk to grass.
No,
You can't just ask that.
you can't just ask why they talk to grass. That's rude. Please.
Sorry, I'll leave.
Oh my God.
Oh no. So grass jokes, we got them. You got all the foliage puns. How do you tap into your into this power?
So Lailai wears sort of gloves that are made of essentially vines. When they sit down, so what they'll do is sit down and they'll put their hands on the ground, and as they do, the vines sort of grow out and sink into the ground and sort of form roots with the ground. And it's kind of like a psychic link.
And it's just kind of like fungi, how like they just connect to each other on like this massive like miles. Gotcha. Cool.
Yeah.
So you tap into the underground, and your roots extend miles down, then miles out and across. The entire area gives you a sense of, I guess everything's cool. Everything's okay. There is nothing affecting this immediate part of the earth. Nature is undisturbed up to this point. However, the mountain is hurting. There, and this is much so of like, do you remember the old tale of the lion and the mouse? The lion was in just agony because of the was it a thorn or was it a net?
It was a
that
thorn.
It was a thorn. That's what it was. It's that. There is some foreign object sort of lodged inside of the mountain that is causing it to be in great pain and distress. It's having no ill effect that the mountain itself is kind of like causing, or nature is causing any sort of disruption, but it is hurting.
They'll come out of that eventually. Is it inside the mountain or is it on the mountain?
Inside.
And does it feel like it's appeared there or just grown, I suppose?
Yes. The same way that an invasive tumor or a virus sort of like appears or grows.
Okay.
Who's ready to hit this mountain?
Lailai, would you describe the pain as like a dull pain or like a sharp, agonizing, pinpointed stab that you could just laser target?
Where there is a tumor, one would suspect dull pain that may become agonizing over time.
And how obvious is it the expression of dread and sadness on the village folk here?
For Wallace, I think Wallace has, from each individual case, they've seen of people affected by the death chattel, and whichever way, if someone very close or distant from them. I think Wallace has tend to lead with ignorance is bliss. They aren't expressing or feeling that intense feeling of loss, grief, or confusion if it's not brought up, if they're not thinking about it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Considering what he witnessed, Derek, you said his name was?
Yes.
Yes. How Derek responded when shown the picture and asked about his situation. He's going to read the tavern, take into consideration everything that he's noticed before, and then just one quick glance at Barnaby before just entertaining a thought and then just immediately shaking it off. So it sounds to me like we need to head on out.
Yeah, Coh'Jak stands up and brushes off his bare knee that was touching the ground. Because, fun fact, Coh'Jak is not wearing pants.
What's Coh'Jak wearing?
He's wearing something akin to like a kilt or a skirt. It's sewn all the way around, but there's tons of pleats on the back end to allow for easy movement. And it's really, really comfortable. You can do practically anything in it, especially make a really pretty twirl.
Is Coh'Jak affected by the cold?
Honestly, so here's the weird thing. 1 second, just to talk about me, Norden Ali. I don't really feel the cold that much until it gets like really, really bad, and even then, I feel it less than average people. And I feel like Coh'Jak is the exact same and always has been.
It's
the cold's refreshing. It's nice.
Well, okay. So cold shower in the morning, get you going, get your brain thinking. I like it. And we also do player facts too. Norden Ali doesn't feel cold. Player fact.
Look, Coh'Jak sleeps like the dead, so like cold wash.
And it begins.
There we go.
Wow, calling me out. Okay, here we are.
Meanwhile, up the mountain. Ready to take off?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, right. I was in the middle of a scene. Yeah, I think we've tortured this poor man enough. Let's get going.
As you all head and continuing on your journey up this mountain, it takes a while for you all to kind of get on the right set of tracks. As the day kind of progressed and went on, you made your way outside the outskirts of the village, through the thicket of the woods, all the way to the base of the mountain. Right when the sun is about to go over the highest point and begins dipping. See, it's close to about late afternoon, not quite evening yet. As you start your ascent to the top of the mountain, you see signs of outposts. You see signs of sort of tree canopy quarters for anyone that is hunting for an extended point of periods of time. Cabins, mostly vacant hunting cabins. You would kind of bring your own things in case you were kind of caught in the elements, in case a winter storm came by. Everything that you all experience and see as you head up the mountain seems like people have gone through so many measures to ensure that anyone that uses the space has everything they need to do so safely. Even folks who would have very little experience mountaineering or doing something of the like would have an even higher chance of survival with the pole signs made up and the unnatural shelters that have been kind of laid out through the forest up the side of the mountain. That it makes the entire trip going up kind of pretty easy. By the time you get to a very noticeable height, way above where you can see the layer of the light snowy clouds that kind of blanket, you are all right above those low clouds as you see the sun about to dip in the horizon far off. When you made it this high, the sky is just that sort of vacant gray where you can't tell if it's so many clouds or none at all. And whatever blueness that would be in the sky completely gave up. The flakes of snow are a little bit more, but it only seems that way because the speed of the wind starts to pick up. As you get a little bit higher, any of you who have it puts any hoods or any coverings over your head just to stop that constant pounding and blowing of the wind, kind of like piercing and slashing through your ears and through your hair. And as you get up even higher, those little flakes start to turn into small ice shards. Eventually, you all get to a point where the storm does pick up quite a bit. Could you all give me a perception check?
$17.
7.
14.
Yeah, Barnaby.
And what did Barnaby get?
21.
21.
And he ain't lying.
He is Leonin.
He's so
We're going to be here all night, ladies and gentlemen.
4 more sessions, folks. 4 more sessions.
Oh my goodness. This is horror. This is horror.
So, Wallace, you don't like this. This is the worst.
Not at all. Did the snow turn into? I swear, I can't.
I think Wallace does the thing. I'm not sure if your character is capable of doing this, but like when bulls kind of blow steam out their nose, but it's just like 2 little shoots of fire.
It's actually split because I have a nose piercing. It gets in the way sometimes.
Nice. Lailai, with the others, as you are coming up, you notice something. You find a pack. On this pack, you see a dagger, a side dagger, similar to the one that Derek had down at the bottom. Barnaby and Coh'Jak, you also find these 2 things. However, I feel Barnaby's nose kind of took them somewhere right past the pack. Something within Coh'Jak follows along with Barnaby. As you all see a separate set of tracks. Barnaby, this smells like preserved flesh. If you kept a hunk of meat and put it in the freezer, and if you just left it in there for like a good week and you took it out and just gave it a big whiff, this is what it would smell like. Coh'Jak, you sense something similar. You find the same thing that Barnaby stumbled upon. However, this is a different sort of sensation that you get. This is a very, very familiar yet distant feeling. It's the sort of it's the sort of lingering in the atmosphere. It's that, you know, the smell of ozone after lightning strikes or right before lightning strikes. It's kind of like that, except when someone turns. And I think it's much in the way of kind of like right before someone were to feel like any sort of anxiety attack, or if they were to have any sort of reaction to something. There's just that sort of like smell of blood and metal, that sense of your stomach turning upside down while you're standing still. It kind of excites you, but you also know what that means. So Barnaby and Coh'Jak have stumbled upon a very unsettling discovery. One has smelt the savory aroma of freeze-dried flesh. The other has discovered a sense of unnatural turning. Lailai found a pack of gear and a knife, very similar to Derek, the hunter from below. And Wallace is cold.
Why do people go to where the air hurts their face? I don't understand.
Honestly, I'm fine.
There are ways to make the hurt go away, if you're interested, Wallace.
Wallace immediately warms up.
All right, going forward, folks, we got to take this a bit slower. I twist I flip my hand around, and suddenly a glaive literally pops out of it. In less than 6 seconds, because that's what it takes to do an action. Wink.
All right, you use some of your glaive. Is there anything else you would like to do with your? And this is your packed weapon, correct?
Yeah.
What does it look like?
It's gorgeous. Its hilt, which is very, very long, it's the staff portion, is covered in bronze scroll work, and it looks both very heavy and yet very aerodynamic. And on the blade bit of it is made of some sort of like translucent crystal that just reflects rainbows and glitters in the moonlight. It's very weird because looking at Coh'Jak, who's clearly dressed in dark colors, and is very low-key, especially compared to some of the other members of this party, I'm not going to lie, this is completely out of character. Right? It's like, this weapon is clearly some sort of decorative light ornament thing, and Coh'Jak himself is not that.
Was this... this wasn't something that Coh'Jak picked out for himself, was it?
No, it wasn't.
Noted. Coh'Jak has summoned their weapon. Do you or Barnaby tell anyone else of the discoveries that you found? Same question for Lailai.
Lailai will. Lailai does. But notices that everyone else is not where they are.
Yeah, we're calling out to each other from like slightly opposite ends.
I think there's like a 2-meter difference between everybody. First is kind of like Lailai runs ahead, Coh'Jak and Barnaby runs ahead, and Wallace just bringing up the rear, just cursing to themselves.
Everything had to be cold. I turn around, I plant my glaive into the ground, and I look at these people who barely know who I am. Folks, I recognized something just now.
Yes?
There's undead ahead.
Is that what that smell is?
Wait, what smell?
Barnaby does like a real big sniff. And then says, "How do you miss that? It's so strong. It's fragrant. It's musty. It smells appetizing but vile at the same time. I can't quite describe it. How do you not smell that?" And then he would kind of like push you to face the direction he is and be like, "Expand your lungs. How do you... Jesus." And he just
straighten
grossed out.
I close my collar a bit as I just sniff in.
Wait a minute. Does Coh'Jak sniff? Can they breathe? Do they smell?
Of course they can breathe. Why wouldn't they be able to breathe, Kiss? It's not like the audience would... But they're just a half-elf.
I guess so.
Some of the audience is like, "Oh no, this makes..." Of course, it's this guy. Of course he has to be something special. Of course. And they're right, I do.
Every time Wallace tries to breathe in, it's just no. I short breaths. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Might be easier if you didn't look like you fell into a tackle box, dear friend.
Probably would be easy if I didn't feel that way either.
Out of interest, does Coh'Jak smell anything?
That's honestly a question for you, my friend.
I feel like he can smell. I don't think he is like his scent is powerful enough to pick up something that specific. You know what I mean? Or at least if he does, it's so in the back of his mind and it's combined with all the other things because he's already thinking that there's undead about. Like it's not registering.
Absolutely. I would definitely say that the perception check that you rolled, what you did pick up was not a matter of like a sense of taste or a sense of smell. Definitely a feeling through experience, life or unlife experience, as opposed to Barnaby's more, they got that kitty nose, they got those kitty ears, they got those kitty paw pads.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, that's what I meant. That's the smell of the undead.
It smells like expired meatloaf. You can almost taste it. It's almost like it's on my skin. Barnaby just kind of does like a little cat thing and kind of cleans himself up because he's very grossed out. He's a little bougie. He is fine until this moment.
Are they approaching?
I think we're like waiting. I said I turned around and stopped, so I think we're waiting for everyone to catch up together.
With the group all like finally caught up together, both tracks of the undead and the hunter in the missing pack go straight ahead, up and around a narrow path of the mountain. The corner to it is pretty sharp. If you all walk in a single file, you'd be able to traverse on the well-worn path without any difficulty. Who would be taking point, do you think? The one with the least amount of hit points? The one with the most amount of hit points? The one with the best perception?
It would be Barnaby just because he's a little arrogant.
Cool.
So,
Barnaby, you would be the first one to see that all of the tracks, the three of you have been tracking this far, with Wallace there for emotional support.
Emotional support, yes.
Emotional support.
You all are doing a bang-up job. I believe in you.
You lead directly to the exterior to what appears to be at first another a naturally made shelter. Except that this one has a wooden shambled door, which is also comprised of some well-placed stones to create some sort of threshold. Rotten wood, newer pieces of wood, planks from broken signs, and other found improvised scaffolding and building materials, making a door that seems to fit in a nice spot that heads into the side of the mountain. Right around it, you see that the path kind of goes a bit off, heading towards it. The rest continues to wrap around the mountain and heads further up. Right around this path with the rocks and branches and old pieces of wood that created the threshold and sort of an awning effect right over the entrance to the space. There's no snow. Most of it caught by any of the shelter going over the entrance. The rest by pieces of rocks. Any additional snow seems to be melted as it leads into the side of the mountain.
That is not natural.
Can I roll an insight check? It probably will be ridiculous because I have a -1, but can I roll it anyway?
Let's see what you got, Wallace.
Oh, that's a 10.
What are you trying to decipher?
I'm trying to decipher if this obviously highlighted area in this otherwise bland and blank area is more than likely all been missing a trap sign.
From Wallace's travels and adventures, every single inch and fiber of your being is telling you to be careful, be aware. And you even hear a voice coming from and not so much in your head as it is just sort of vibrates through your entire body. Wallace, you hear, tread carefully, eyes. I wouldn't want to lose you so soon.
So soon? You've been with me for years. But,
Years for you, but...
Right. I forget it. Time works differently for you. Okay. All right. I'll make sure to be careful.
Have fun.
Oh, that's not the way I wanted to be greeted at this significant point in my time. And then I point to everybody else. I think, I don't know how obvious it is for all of you all, but I don't trust that they're over there.
You all look over at the this improvised door that seems to be some entrance into what you can only assume to be another shelter. If anyone were to be trapped in a snowstorm, this would definitely be the best place to hide in this space.
Does the door look like it's barricading to keep something in or to keep something out?
You know what? Barnaby should go up there and check that out.
Yeah, so that's what Courtney was asking, but Barnaby doesn't like asking too many questions. He would turn to everyone and say, as suspicious as it seems to me, dear friends, I would be more concerned having this behind us. And he just goes up and just pulls a rock out the top to start peeking into the doorway.
Give me a strength check.
Strength or athletics?
You can do athletics as well if you have
Hell yeah.
point of proficiency in it.
9.
That's
Sorry
good.
for that sound.
I mean, there is a lot of effort for a very sort of encumbered rock that you have to try to grab and try to fit around. You weren't lifting with your legs. And it kind of
like when you poke the Jenga piece and it doesn't move. And it's one of those real tricky ones.
Yeah, okay. Exactly.
And you're talking a bunch of shit before you do your turn too. So now.
Here, why don't I help you out? I'm also gonna try to, I help with the rock. Oh gosh,
I feel like I'm talking to the snow.
Well, here it is. After Barnaby got the first one out of the way, barely, the rest are actually able move pretty easily. But it actually gives way to the wooden pieces that have been kind of put there. And they all come off together. As you're able to remove them from this hole in the side of the mountain, you see that it rests more like a trap door than one that would, a conventional one with like a knob and hinges, and a knocker and so on the other side going, hello. This one comes apart the way that you would see like tornado shelters like in Iowa or like other places in the Midwest. But it just goes down.
I take a step inside. Would you argue that this is a ruin or a dungeon?
Well, now you've ruined it, so yes.
Thank you. I love ruining things. Here's something that people don't know about Coh'Jak yet. considering my secret was ruined. He's an archaeologist. So when I enter a ruin or dungeon, I can correctly ascertain its original purpose and determine its builders. In addition, I can determine... Oh, that's art objects. I don't care about art. There's no art here.
Yes. Okay. Here's the weird thing. I need you to make me a history check.
Yep, sure. 21.
Awesome, because I was going to say after that, you could make it at advantage, but you don't need to. This is perfect. Coh'Jak, once you are able to break this barrier and look inside of this hole that heads down into the mountain, you see that there is enough steady footing to make your way in quite easily. The sides of the wall seem to be reinforced with wood pillars. There has been a very conscious effort to make sure that the structure and the integrity of the inside of the shaft as you head down is well maintained. And all clues are pointing to you that this was at one point used as a mine. However, by the type of stones inside of this mountain, both on the outside and the inside, this is definitely a mine that whomever have invested the time to dig in went pretty far in before they realized that this is sort of a dole mine or a fluke mine. No minerals inside of it are worth the amount of effort it would take to get in it. At a project that began with great ambition, but once they realized it was sort of a futile task, just stopped. This is an abandoned mine. However, the door on the outside tells you it's probably been repurposed.
The veins here are empty.
Lailai, would you say this is where the hurt is the strongest in the mountain?
Yes. Though... Can I ask the mountain whether this is the hurt? Because mountains get mined. And I also feel like mountains talk to each other. Whether or not they do, Lailai feels that mountains talk to each other. So the question then becomes, is this actually a problem? Like, is having a mine here the problem as long as they're not too aggressive about it?
This could actually relates to the earlier check that you had. The way that the mountain speaks to you is through movement. Anytime something moves on the earth, it proceeds to set in a series of events that tells a story. The earth does this on its own through this movements of tectonic plates. Every time it sort of recreates and redesigns itself. The mountains are able to communicate this to you that there was a lot of movement into here. Mm. This was not the cause of the hurt. However, it did give the hurt a place to grow. This is a small scratch that then became infected.
Mm.
How obvious is it from looking at it from the outside that it is in fact a mine?
I doubt Wallace would have been able to tell that without Coh'Jak putting those pieces together and relaying it to the team.
Perfect. So when Coh'Jak says the veins are run empty, it's like, I'm sorry, what?
See these scratches on the wall? They're made by picks. Or drills. I'm guessing picks, though. This is pretty old. And see, over here, this is where someone tried to scratch out the wall just a bit more.
Uh-huh.
That shiny bit there, that's not useful. Sometimes you hope it's metal or something, but there's no veins here. The veins are dry. Somebody thought this place would be full of useful minerals, and it turns out only on surface level.
Okay. That makes the most sense.
But this is where they came in from. So it's if someone brought something in here, this is where they brought it in from. If someone grew something, basically it came in through this door or through the mining.
Yeah, the scaffolding around the door, mines are just left open or sometimes lightly boarded up. They're not bricked up or stoned up. So I'm guessing that something has taken residence here. And I think it might be more than one something.
I think it's only one something causing this, though. So we can look inside.
Well, let's take things one step at a time. Let's take into consideration.
Yes, I'm taking it one step at a time. And Lailai's going to go inside.
Okay, so.
Hell yeah.
Bonnie, you're not helping. Let's just take more things into consideration. There were stones on this door, which means that they weren't there before. Somebody placed them there, which means that something is inside there. And there's a possibility that those stones were placed there for a reason. So...
yeah, probably to keep whatever inside here inside. If
Exactly.
Stones, you put them
or
on
to
the
keep
outside.
us out.
Lailai, I love your ambition. I truly do. But we have to put more things into consideration before we just charge into what might be danger.
Or we could find it.
While they have this conversation, Barnaby's going to look around the front area and do like a survival check to see if anything has been in this immediate spot recently.
Who has dark vision or who can see in zero light? That's my next question. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not sure.
It should be under your passive wisdom insight.
Yeah, so the first column.
And if not, we would need a flight source for 2 of our party members.
I don't think I do, and I have produce flame.
Would it be under customize?
No, just under senses.
Oh, under senses. Okay.
Or you could do features as well, in case.
I don't think I have it.
But the produced flame would give enough light for both Lailai and Wallace. Whoever is in the first area of the interior, give me a perception check.
Oh, the first area, as in
That'll be a 9 from Barnaby.
Around where Lailai is.
If you just entered into the mine.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone who just entered the mine, give me a perception check.
So minus 13.
It's an 18.
11.
Okay. For the folks with the 13 and up, you notice that the crunching of the snow from the worn path to the entrance of the mine went from crunch snow to no snow to once you're inside of the mine, partial soft wood, partial packed dirt, partial wet stone. Lailai, you see another piece of a piece from a tool pack on the ground as you head in. Lailai, you also pick up the faint smell of black powder.
Do they use black powder in mines?
Sometimes I flip my glaive down, touch the back of that of the blade, which is dull, and cast light on it, which is just a reflex I do because sometimes I wander into places with dark vision. But this place has not been used as a mine for some time. Nobody would let it get this wet.
Is that a thing that people? Is that a thing people make conscious decisions of, making sure mines aren't wet?
Wetness can cause erosion. Erosion can cause cracks. Cracks can cause, well, a bunch of rocks falling on your head.
I was about to say, wouldn't that help with the mining process? But now that I think about it, that might actually be very dangerous. Yes, you make a great point.
What does Lailai know about black powder and its explosiveness? Just asking from a produce flame perspective.
Yes, all of that.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
No, I would assume that Lailai knows is kind of like, oh, I probably shouldn't just start juggling fireballs everywhere.
I like to argue that Lailai knows that, which means there's a high chance that they might actually do that soon.
I mean, if Wallace takes too long.
Oh, Wallace is inside. He's not liking it, but he's inside.
Also, Wallace can create bonfires. That should be fun.
We all have fire powers in the black powder mine.
You fools, we all have swords.
It's going to end well for everybody.
After the initial look around in the dungeon, there is a straight path down the shaft that takes you right on in if you'd like to continue on. Was there anything else?
Yeah, Wallace is just going to tell the voice that alerted him of danger before. I just want it on record that I didn't do this. This was all them.
Noted and documented, yet still guilty by association.
I hate it when you say that. I'll do my best to keep them safe.
The four of you continue to trudge through the abandoned mine shaft for about 90 minutes. After a while, the path eventually splits into 3 different routes.
Is there a way that Barnaby can see if anyone's been using these routes before we learn more about them?
Would you like to do some more kitty sniffing tracking?
Yeah. Kitty,
give me that
sniffing survival tracking, yeah.
Yeah, use the survival check, my friend.
Oh, nat 20. So
Nice.
24.
Barnaby recalls to a time, and I think like the excitement of being so close on this trail, being like right on the heels of whatever or whomever is causing this curse, you are primed and ready for the hunt. And I think Barnaby is like sent back to like the vast fields, walking through high grass, the same sort of like ways of goldenrod that matches his fur. As the entire interior of this mountain then looks to Barnaby, there is no dirt, there is no like busted glass lanterns on the side. It's just all tall grass. And Barnaby sees 3 gazelles right in front of them. The way that Barnaby would like envision like how Tabaxi recall to a time when all felines were treated as like living gods amongst all humanoids, and all Leland all like were part of one massive pride, one pride for all Leos. Leo season, you know, that's what they called it. And you see the 3 gazelles. They don't see you yet. The one in the center looks up and turns to you. It's staring right at you, but it does not know that it's staring right at the predator. The one on the right also looks up and turns. The one on the far left is the last one to realize you're there. Barnaby splashes back to the room that you're in. The left side, it tells you.
Without missing a beat and turning to the party, Barnaby's like, "No need to linger. I know exactly where we need to be," and starts heading down the left hallway. I'm so sorry, everyone. Player Courtney feels very bad. But Barnaby, having the time of his life.
I have the most hit points. Don't worry.
I'm so sorry. But he would strut down that hall as if he were winning another battle with a crowd to cheer for him. But the only one that is rooting him on is his own attitude.
The loudest voice of all.
Wallace is just gonna go, Bonnet, wait, and then just chase after him.
And do the rest follow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other two paths are left unattended as you all head down the far left path. The sound behind you all of the howling wind from outside starts to eventually fade and die, only to be resurrected by a different pitch of howl. Maybe faster winds, but it's coming from deeper in the depths of this mountain. Possibly through the old fractures and cracks caused by the water damage that the Coh'Jak had mentioned earlier. Maybe other fissures in the mountain from the very far other side where that wind is coming in. But eventually you all make it to a large area. This part of the mountain seems to have been also created. It has a very unnatural look, very cube, very geometrical, very fine, very refined and a streamlined design, where you come into an entire space inside of a mountain that is still all stone, but it's in a perfect cube. You're inside of a room shaped like a box inside of a mountain. Right before stepping through, you notice that the stone in this room is distinctly different from all the stone and earth around you all before heading into it.
Okie dokie. I'm gonna throw out a thought that even though I think the rules may state I should maybe know how this was built and why this was built, I feel like I don't think there's there's no possible way right?
Take me through it. Give me what would you like to know?
I want to know what the purpose of this room is and why is it here?
Everything that you've gained from the entrance to this point says this is a mine shaft. This does not fit that whatsoever. This does not make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Coh'Jak can spend as much time as they want studying the various types of earth, the various types of stone, but into this room, this isn't ore. This is an amalgam of different stones.
Interesting.
What does Coh'Jak know about fossils? Like, could you do the test where you lick it and if it sticks to your tongue, you know it's bone?
That's a thing.
You're gonna lick
That's
the
a
room?
thing. That's a
You're
thing.
gonna lick the room?
I'm sorry.
Are you gonna lick the room? That's what I would do. Don't lick the room. That's dangerous.
Loot the room, not lick.
I mean,
I just didn't know how deep the archaeology went. Like, that was just a thing I learned, that you can lick fossils, and if they stick to your tongue, it's a fossil.
That would
Favorite
make
part of Jurassic Park.
I was about to say that would make Dr. Grant's introduction in that movie completely different when messing with that little kid.
What's so great about an overgrown turkey?
Okay. So I think there's a few things, like a few specific questions about this room Coh'Jak would be able to determine. One, are these walls of stone chiseled out, or were they brought in and perhaps in looking pieces?
The way that this room is designed is a ship in a bottle.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
You would need to blast out enough space to then build this room inside of it. Is what the structure of this room is telling you.
I love that. I love that for me. Also, I have to... Is there any magic in this room?
I have a related question.
One question for Coh'Jak. Do you have a way of sensing magic on your own? Or would you like to use something to do it so?
I can cast detect magic at will, which means I think Coh'Jak doesn't actually see the world in the same colors as everybody else. Certain things are duller, and then certain things, especially those magical things, are just brighter and lit up in this golden hue. Is anything shining gold? I mean, my weapon is.
Your weapon. Okay. No. Outside of what you already know of you and your party members, there is nothing else in this room that is glowing or has any traces of magic. Lailai, what was your question?
Is the room subject to the movement of the mountain? Like, everything just moves naturally. If this is a perfect cube, if the mountain moves around it, are there any fissures in anything?
Give me an investigation check. And I will offer you this. If you would like to bring this up to Coh'Jak, you two can work together, and one of you can make an investigation check at advantage. Ooh. With the other helping. I'll give you all that.
Coh'Jak?
Yeah.
This room shouldn't be perfect.
No, it shouldn't.
It's not natural.
They brought in the stone from outside, and then they constructed it on the inside. There's a bigger hole that isn't perfect, and then this room was built inside of it.
Now, before we move on with the investigation check, I want to just make this clear right now. The four of you are still outside of the cube. You have not entered the cube yet. Coh'Jak has checked around the cube, looked inside the cube, has detected no magic. Mm-hmm. Has anyone walked inside of the cube yet?
Pardon me, God, no, please no.
Not yet. Barnaby's more leaning on the side while the nerds talk and say stuff about licking rocks.
There is something, by the way, that I kind of want to mention. Coh'Jak is not... He's trying to be subtle about it, but he's not really making eye contact with Lailai.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Noted. Would you assist in the investigation check with Lailai, given that information?
Yeah, I'd love to.
All right. Who would like to roll the investigation check at advantage?
I have a +5. What do you got?
You're rolling. I have a +3.
Well, I'd love to. So we got a 21 and a 10. We're going to go with the 21.
Awesome. Looking once again on the side of the room and take into account what Lailai said about the room being too perfect and your notes already about it being inside of having to fit inside of a bigger room to be built around. And then thinking about if they made a bigger room before building this smaller cube, what else is built around it? Before you head in, you check around the edge of the threshold before you go in, and you put your hand through as you check. And with the loss of the wind blowing from behind you, and the sound of the distant wind blowing coming from further down and ahead in the mountain, you can feel something blowing against your fingertips between very subtle cracks. And when you move your hand away, there's still something there stuck to your fingers that you can still kind of feel when you move them together. There's something seeping through the cracks in this room.
Barnaby,
Yes, dear friend.
this threshold between the room and this mine shaft, it should be bigger. This may take a while, but can we break into it?
Absolutely. No challenges for old Barnaby. And he would take a step back and hold his axe like a ball bat and just get ready.
God bless you.
And and remember, there is just a threshold. There is no door. There is no barrier.
Wallace is actually making this face in game.
He's just
Open threshold going right through to the other end. So
let's go. And just takes one very confident step. Right on in.
you take a step in the room. While in this room, tell me what your intentions are with Barnaby.
So Barnaby's intentions would be, I believe you would see like a camera kind of do like a different cool action shots of him like kind of stretching, getting ready, his hands gripping the axe, his face, the little glint in his eye and smile, and then a very confident step. And I do believe that he would just kind of stop. And his intention was to just walk across, because it's a cube. Cubes aren't that scary. But I feel like you would see him stop and be mid-stride. And you know in cartoons when a cat freaks out, or like in a Ghibli movie and they're like electrified from the ankles all the way up and they just like jolt? I believe we have one of those moments, because Barnaby also tends to keep his tail curled and up because he doesn't want people to use it against him in battle. And this would be a point where his tail just kind of springs out a little bit and kind of points a bit, because he's like, maybe on second thought, and he pulls that foot back in.
Around how long was Barnaby in that room for?
It's probably going to feel like he was in that room for 20 seconds, but for him, it feels like it was a step in and out. But it's going to feel longer.
I kind of meant we should not go into the room and take down the wall. Okay.
Yeah. Apologies for playing the world's dumbest idiot.
Don't apologize for being a himbo. First rule to being a himbo. You can't know that you're a himbo. And you gotta apologize like, oh, sorry, my hands are so clumsy. That's what you apologize for. Oh, I got ketchup on my shirt. That's what you apologize for.
You can apologize for being a big, beautiful bastard, but nothing else.
There you go. So,
when Barnaby comes back into the hallway, Wallace is gonna go. Are you all right?
I will admit, I've been better. Not my most shining moment, but you know what? I can learn to be the sidekick for once. And Barnaby just kind of steps on back and urges everyone else forward.
Well, I guess we're not taking down these walls. All right. I'm gonna walk in alone.
Why don't
You just saw what? All right, sure.
what
Yeah,
The vibes were off, you know?
I know.
Coh'Jak? Why not see what's around the room first?
I was going to, but there's no way to tear down the sides of these walls, or at least I don't think there is. I was someone that was trying to ask Barnaby, but
I could. Lailai extends. I'm going to use Primal Savagery and extend one long feline claw. and see if I can scrape away some of what's around the cube.
The dirt and stone that was kind of like packed in and made the path of the shaft as you guys headed into the mountain is easier to kind of move around and to manipulate. The stone used for the cube room is made of tougher stuff. You're able to make a scratch through it, but it would be literally you trying to dig through solid stone.
And
you are able to make out how thick the walls are within the dirt and packed within the space. And there seems to be a lot more to the cube than what you can see inside of the room. And the more you kind of dig around it, the more stone you kind of uncover. So if inside of the cube space is, let's say, 20 by 20, the stone outside of it may be 20 by 20 thick of stone around, and like 30 by 30 thick of stone around. Dig a little bit more, 40 by 40, while there's still a 20 by 20 room inside the cube. 20 by 20 by 20.
There's a couple options I'm thinking. That there could be something flammable inside of there, something that leaves a residue. There could be a poison. Actually,
is it
hold
growing?
on. No, it's staying inside. I pull out, and again, I'm not making eye contact with Lailai, but I think I do toss them my glaive to keep hold of while I pull out a bullseye lantern. I press to digitate, so like a spark appears from the palm of my hand, lights up the lantern, and then I just like push it at the entrance and just shove it inside. It may go boom. I can't make promises. I leave it open.
The window and the lantern's open, you said?
Yeah.
When the lantern's open, you shove it inside, and you're able to get it about 5 feet away from you, just kind of like slid against the stone floor before it kind of tips over and rights itself back up. Window's still open. The flame in it moved and jostled just a bit before it starts to catch itself and then reignite on the wick. Whatever's in this room, whatever left a residue in your hands, does not appear to be flammable.
All right. I'm just going to hold my breath. Wish me luck. And I still don't look back at the rest of them as I theatrically...
Taking your glaive?
Nope. And I walk inside.
You pull a lot and you walk in without turning back. And you are able to make it in the room, which appears to be completely vacant. Once you make it to the other entrance, there appears to be what could be an exit if it wasn't a completely different shade of stone sealing this side. However, along that same slab of stone, you see a codex. 5 rings. An outer ring, and then several going inside with a knob on the center. Each of the outer rings represents a different set of the season. The inner knob has 4 different phases of the moon. This seems to be a combination that requires 5 different combinations to be set before the slab goes up.
I see. I let go, because I'm far enough away now, of that held breath, quote unquote. And I breathe in again. Does it feel like there's anything coating my tongue? Does it feel like there's anything trying to attack the inside of my cheeks?
You take a deep breath and you get a sensation. And this is probably the most sensation that you'll ever get. The taste of like bitterance filling your mouth and your nose. Just a very telltale flavor and smell of icky. No, your body's rejecting this. If you were to eat this, if you were to drink this, if you were to sniff this, your body would be absolutely doing everything it can to remove yourself from that predicament. It doesn't affect you that much.
I quickly pull out a notebook, scribble down what the dials look like, and then rush back, holding my second breath. I love this game within a game.
I just realized what you're doing. You head back out and you exhale as you gasp for this vital lifeblood of air.
Did we notice him exhale while he was in the room?
Did you do that with the intention of being very subtle?
Yeah.
You did not catch that.
Okay.
Unless you can see his breath from his back. Coh'Jak returns with notes, and you see the same sign. 5 rings, a knob in the center, which each ring inside representing seasons, with the knob 4 different phases of the moon. Coh'Jak, you probably would have already told you all that it seems to be a time-sensitive lock that has several different parts. If anyone can give me a nature, history, arcana, or investigation check. Let me see what y'all get.
I will roll investigation for shits and giggles.
I will roll history.
I will take a short rest.
Well, I got a 10 on investigation.
I rolled
I got
10 on Arcana.
I got a 9 on history.
And Barnaby?
Oh, okay. Well, let's see.
No, this works. This works. But with each of those numbers, because we just needed 25 total of some different stats, you 3 are able to put together the sequence of locks that are needed to undo the slab to get through the exit. What you realize in putting all this information together is that it will take about 3 minutes to finish the sequence. But you have the sequence.
Can anyone else hold their breath for 3 minutes or longer?
I'm more of a land individual. I don't really test. I don't really do that much testing as far as whether or not I'm able or not to breathe. But you seem to do pretty fine yourself. You were there for more than 5 minutes?
No, it was only about 3.5.
Was it 3.5? It felt like it was longer. Because you had to take a bit of time to draw all of the symbols and everything. So it's like you must have been able to hold your breath for a long time.
Kind of at my heartbeat. Well, we there's trance-like states and stuff like that you can do.
See, so you're more suitable. You've actually taken lessons on how to hold your breath longer. If you clearly know what you're doing, I'm not going to hold that against you.
I mean, I can hold my breath in quite a few different scenarios, but it depends what we're talking about here.
I could.
Like Barnaby woke up from their nap just interrupted with that.
There's no water in this cube, and he's a little thirsty, so he's gonna... apologies.
Is there like a swear jar equivalent for Barnaby to put in when it just started?
The only thing Wallace was thinking about was just you were barely in the room for 20 seconds.
You know what?
He doesn't say that. He doesn't say that, but he looks at Barnaby like that.
The fact that Wallace and Wallace's mind voice are both making fun of Barnaby is so rude. Curiosity kills the cat, and sometimes the cat listens. It doesn't engage.
I could ask a spirit to do it.
That you can do that?
Yes.
Oh. Is it a is it a helpful spirit or is it a spirit?
I'm not sure what the difference is between the things you're asking about.
Oh, well, it's malevolence versus benevolence. That's not the word. Benevolent. It's not
Benevolence.
benevolent. That's that's the one. The good one. The good one. The good one starts with the B.
Are they nice? Is what he's asking.
Well, I mean, if I ask them to do something, yes, probably.
Well, then I don't see
To
a
us?
reason why not. The other thing is, once the spirit opens up the door, one of us is going to rush through and see if there's still air on the other side. Otherwise, we've got a bigger problem on our hands. So I'm doing that, I guess. Call your spirit.
Okay. I would like to cast Legion.
All right. Walk me through what happens and what everyone else sees happens to Lailai.
So as Lailai starts to cast the spell, their hands sort of weave through the air, and what they're doing is they're sort of forming, like it's out of clay, they're forming a figure. And as they form this figure, other figures, it's as though the figure creates shadows that kind of reach all of the walls and spread out.
Kind of like a paper doll effect.
More like you've got one, and then if you had hundreds of different lights on that one figure, you would get different shadows that just kind of appear on walls. So around them, there's just loads of shadows, and it's calling forth a Fey spirit. The Fey spirit looks oddly like Coh'Jak.
In what sense?
Lailai does not notice this similarity. Shape, form, outer form.
Gotcha.
Not fine feature, but definitely outer form. The figure holds a glaive. Shadowed glaive, but glaive.
And they head in and they put in the combination.
Mm-hmm.
How long does Legion last for?
It is a concentration spell up to 1 hour.
Oof. 3 minutes later, with the combination put in, Lailai's Legion clone unlocks the slab. The door slides up.
All right. I really okay. I take a deep breath. I try to pretend like I didn't just see what I saw. I pick my glaive up back from the wall, and I think anyone who wants to notice is going to notice that regardless of what Coh'Jak wants or doesn't want, it looks like the exact same motion just repeated. Because that Fey spirit walked in just like them, and now they're walking the exact same path.
Wallace will notice.
And the rest of the party?
I think Lailai notices, but not in the right way. As in, that's weird.
Yeah, Wallace will lean down to Lailai. Is like, do you think that's his dad?
What?
They seem very similar, and they even walk the same. So it's just like maybe it's a relative, a grandparent. I don't know. I don't really know that much about his family.
Who?
Oh, Coh'Jak.
Oh. Just... I'm sorry, I'm not too sure what you mean.
Well, you did say that it was a spirit that you summoned. I'm just saying that it was. I noticed that there was a bit of similarities, and Like, have you noticed the way that he headed out? He was very similar to the way that the spirit headed out.
Yes, I did notice that.
The more that Wallace says this out loud, the more they kind of realize it's a first draft thought. They speak it, and then it doesn't make sense in their head. And of course, to the voice in their head, they have to bounce this off of. It's a very sound, reasonable observation. Once you verbalize it, though, it sounds odd. It doesn't make sense. It's the effect of you forgot what you walked into the room to grab once you reached it. And I think that's the kind of sort of feeling that both of you and Lailai are having one another. This person who created this image that resembles, yet at the same time, they don't see it. And the more that you try to put it together, you also don't see it. It's like when I thought that like Jason Bateman and Nathan Fillion looked the same.
I mean, you could be onto something.
When you think about, like, I can picture them both in my mind's eye. They look like the same white dude. When I put them together, it's like, oh, like that's not Ray Romano and Zach Braff, you know? same but different.
Oh no!
Once I get to the other side, I take a deep breath.
Do you do it in a way so everyone can see you taking a breath?
Yes.
Like, man, I sure needed that oxygen.
Oh no, dude! And I know if we know this. Oh no, do you think is he all right? Are you all right, Coh'Jak?
Trying to test the air. If I die, we're in danger. Does it taste wrong?
You do not get that same effect. Anything in this side is telling you that this is some decent air. When they go through that room, they probably might want to hold their breath or not stand there for a little bit too long.
Hold your breath as you walk through. Don't walk around. Just come straight through. Once you're on this side, you can breathe again.
Barnaby hears that, gets his axe ready on his back. And you know when runners run really fast and they slow down and they lengthen their stride a bunch and they're just like, ha, ha, ha. He does that. Just across the room. He's like, okay, bye.
There's like a brief flash of extra thigh as Coh'Jak swiftly tries to plaster himself against the wall.
Yeah.
After the other three make it through, you all have that same type of feeling that Coh'Jak felt after putting their hand through. There is a light film of something on you all. Barnaby will probably be able to notice it the most. However, if you try to clean yourself, it would be very disgusting. Like the taste and the sensation, not you doing your act, you do you. I'm not going to yuck your yum. But the taste from the residue in that air is still attached to your fur.
I feel like Barnaby would have taken like one long like cat lick and been like, and then.
Ooh, give me a Constitution save, my friend.
Yeah.
That's the same as licking the room.
That is pretty much licking in the room.
These dice love me so much. I got a 25 nat 20. These
oh my
these
goodness.
dice, you can check the logs. It's real.
No, I
No, I saw it. I saw
You
it.
get pop-ups.
So for this one, take your point of inspiration. What you're able to do as you clean yourself, you thoroughly remove all residue and all toxins from you. And you do the thing where you spit it out immediately. And in your... How many battles has Barnaby been in?
Oh.
More than 100? More than 1,000?
Numbers that he could probably not truly comprehend. Definitely more than 1,000.
You have fought against blade users, stave users, people who don both bow and arrow, people who use magic and means of poisons that are mean, and this is that latter. This is a poison so foul. The effect would be on a failed Constitution save, you lose 1d4 plus 2 of your total Constitution score.
I'm so glad Barnaby is a lucky, lucky son of a gun. This cat has all 9 lives.
Congratulations. You made it through the box of gas.
That description nearly killed me. God damn.
Remember I said earlier, don't overthink things. Just have fun. And eventually you leave the hall where all sense and smell of that room is completely left all of your bodily holes and orifices. And you made it to this next wide interior space. After traveling for about 45 minutes more, the slopes and curves and the shaft and the ways that you're taking, you're not quite sure if you're going deeper down or just sort of sidewinding back and forth through this mountain. You spent more than 3 hours inside and the pressure is starting to get to you. This next room, though, you're able to see from some distance away because there are multiple sources of light coming from ahead. As you all approach the space, the hallway that you're in starts to widen out. You can move about 3 members abreast before you turn a corner and you see more sources of light. It doesn't seem to be moving in the way that a torch would, if kind of left on its own, just a very natural, organic burning up. This seems to be a very consistent brightness, pulsating in and out at different speeds. Who's taking point and going forth?
I turn off light on McLave, and I look at the others.
Does everyone else keep their lights on?
I'm the only one with light on.
Yeah, I have no lights.
Lailai had produce.
Lailai would have dropped produce flame in order to cast Legion.
Awesome. Light sources have all been damped. You still have some lights coming up ahead. Who would take point and turn the corner first?
I'm going to walk up to the corner, press my back against it, angle an ear just over. Either sound of movement, either sound of people, places, things.
Give me a
nouns.
perception check.
Are there nouns?
Ideas. You just hear the sounds of ideas.
Yeah, you're right. I only got an 8, so I hear the sounds of ideas.
Pants with bowls. A key that you can't lose because it works for every door.
That sounds nice, honestly. Can that be a magic item?
Yeah. It's called an axe.
Hey, we have those.
With checking around the corner, Coh'Jak, you just see multiple blinking lights. Some on slabs, some projected up as if being cast by like a minor illusion or a silent image. They all seem to be rather static, with the exception of the light that's producing, or that the light that they are producing, rather.
Okay, I guess I'm doing this again. I'm going to cast... Look, I waited as long as I could. I'm going to cast Spirit as Shield, which, for those of you at home, is kind of like Armor of Agathis, but not.
There you have it at home, so shut up.
Thanks a lot for that, Norton.
All right, so you take 5 additional hit points, correct?
Per level, and I only have 3rd level spell slots, so that's 15 extra hit points.
You only have 3rd. Oh, okay, Warlock. Gotcha.
So what you meant to say, it's like Armor of Agathis, but better.
But 3.
And anyone who tries to attack me is going to get some damage done to them.
All right, and is this a concentration spell?
Nope. It is just, it lasts for an hour.
Cool. you don your frosty shields, and you head around the corner. Would you like to approach?
Yeah.
Cool.
When Spirit of Shield is on, it looks a bit like somebody's phasing in and out, because what really happens is that I'm not gaining extra hit points, because that makes no sense in this world, does it? Magic.
No, it doesn't.
What? Spirits walk with me, taking my form and walking as me, but slightly out of, and the wind will get shipped away as Coh'Jak is hit. Yep. Because that's cooler, right?
That's so much cooler. All right, cool. So you have your spirit bodyguards around you.
I lean toward Lailai as I'm watching this. It's like, which one do you think is their dad?
I don't know if that's how it works in elves.
Well, they're clearly spawned spirits like you did for them that one time. Maybe they're related.
Coh'Jak, are any of them, are they related to you?
I don't think any of them are, but it wouldn't. Oh God. I wouldn't know because I don't remember them. I lie, bald-faced lie.
Ooh, noted.
Can I roll an insight check right quick? I can't guarantee that I'll succeed because I got a -1.
You roll your insight check. Don't tell me the outcome.
Okay.
I'm gonna look at it.
All right.
We're not gonna say anything on camera about the insight check. But I do want to go to Coh'Jak. I want you to tell me this, because all information is good information.
Mm-hmm.
What was the lie that you told? And what was the truth?
The lies that I don't remember any of them. The truth is, I don't know some of them, and thus I have no way to remember them. But there is one person who walks with me, just in sync, just quick enough so as not to be detected. But there is one person who walks with me that Lailai would recognize. That's the truth.
All right.
I'm a terrible human being. Except I'm not human, so there.
You're not a human.
Here it is. So, note it for that check. Inside of this room, Coh'Jak and your spirit siblings, you see these different slates, different devices. Your magic eyes, everything in this room that's glowing with light has that golden glow. And you weren't able to hear this earlier, but there does seem to be some sort of droning noise coming from a cube, a smaller cube, not the same as the room before, but like a football-sized cube, much heavier, that has a deeper glow to it, that has a very sort of grainy, wailing, yet light tune coming out of it.
Doesn't seem to be anyone here but this cube, so if y'all want to come in, save me from my nerves.
As you all kind of peek around and look into this room, you all see these different devices, and some of them seem to be more active than others. If anyone interacts with one of the devices projecting an image up, you can actually interact with the image and move things around. If you go to the box that's producing the sound, you see knobs on each side that you can touch. The sound gets louder. The sound distorts and turns into another sound. There are other devices where, when picking them up, it produces a light. When you put it back down, the light goes off. And there is a larger Ooh. There's a larger item in the far end of the room that gives off this slow, pulsing, pale blue glow. And it just goes on, blinking out, then coming back in.
Is the light when it blinks, is it like a spotlight beam, or is it just kind of like the glow is within the object?
It's whatever's in this object is slowly illuminating, gets to a point, then it slowly dies out before coming back in.
And you said this was like a larger device?
On the far end of the room.
That would be the one Barnaby was drawn to most, if anyone else has got a device they're gunning for.
Sorry, how many devices were there?
There are a dozen. Some of them are activated, some of them aren't. Depending on how much time you would like to devote to looking around this room, you might find more.
Wallace would probably see what's going on with one of the ones that are deactivated, so they can have something to compare it to when he comes across one that is activated.
You see two slates. One that's on with the projected minor image up, and one that needs to be picked up before it projects its own image. For both of them, you can interact and touch both of the images and change it through. Each of the images kind of go through different pictures, what appears to be layouts, designs that when layered on top of each other create a bigger design, numbers, figures, and another one showing a map.
Does the map have any situations in which were familiar to us from like previous rooms and or corridors or whatnot?
When you look at the map, it's a global map of the fields of an entire plane.
Okay.
Except this one does not look familiar at all. You look at the one on the other slate, also doesn't look familiar. It's different from the first one you looked at. After flipping through a few you find a map that looks exactly like the one from your plane, Wallace. Not the current one you're on.
I look closely. Is there any way for me to zoom or zoom in or find or like hone in on one aspect?
Wallace, can you tell us about your plane and what you would be looking for exactly?
Yes. My plane is called Tablia. And I was a resident of the city-state of Carbon, very much in a state of magic and technology merging into one in ways where they could coexist and advance with each other. However, there are aspects of my homeland, or at least where I acknowledge might be my homeland, that are very old and buried, like fossils in various layers of earth, where the new dirt is the fresh layer of buildings and towers and merging of fantasy and science. From what Wallace remembers, there's an aspect about him that belongs to the fossils, but he was granted a life, a fresh start on the new soil. And it's been a minute since he's been able to touch that soil.
As you kind of flip through and zoom in and out, bits and pieces of this former place is coming back to you. It's home. And so many others, both unlike and very similar to yours. And the one where your party members are right now, that map comes up as well. The door to this room, unlike the others, opens pretty easily. If there's anything else to be, or if there's nothing else to be investigated in this room, the exit's right there.
Who all is nearby me?
It's a small but long room. So I would say Barnaby would be closest to the exit, being to the slow, glowing blue conduit. I would put Lailai and Coh'Jak closer to the entrance, with you somewhere in the middle.
All right. I'm going to try and get Lailai's attention. Hey, Lailai. I scroll through the maps. Do any of these places seem familiar to you?
Do any of the places seem familiar to me?
Lailai's connection to nature would give them the very easily the ability to easily identify the map and the geographical makeup of the plane that you're native to. I also have a feeling that Lailai wouldn't be completely unaware of not only the existence of like other planes, but also sort of the diversity of the makeup and the biomes and the parts that make each one special and unique. So maybe Lailai wouldn't be able to name each one, but there is a sense of familiarity with each of these planes.
They all say something to me.
I scroll back to the map of Tablia. This is Tablia. This is where I come from.
They look over the map. It looks nice.
It's been a minute since I saw it, so yes, it does look pretty nice. But if they have this and all these others, there might be a reason why we're here, outside of finding the root of this curse. Then again, I could just be talking out my ass. I've been here for so long. I pretty much have roots here already. In this point, what if I ever find a way? I do. Yes, I do.
Well, you remember it, so you know it's not dead. So that means you can get back.
Without moving his head, Wallace is going to take a quick look at Barnaby and then just nod. Exactly. That's exactly what that means. That is exactly what that means. Did you find anything interesting with your lights and things?
Are they natural or are they made?
Give me an Arcana check or an investigation check, whichever intelligence-based stat. Or check, rather.
Arcana. Ooh, an 18.
Ooh. All of these items seem to have been, by your terminology, they've been enchanted. You've never seen the dedication and any tinkerer, any mage, any sage, anybody who goes through re-enchanting like carbon copies of the same thing, if that makes sense. Even two swords made by the same blacksmith would have some like difference to tell the difference, some like anything on them to like tell the difference between them. But all of these devices in here seem to have the same kind of cookie cutter makeup. Same weight, same size, the same toggles, the same activation methods, same purposes. And a lot of these seem to have been, created the same way.
Are they pick-upable? Are they small enough to pick up? And
some are small to pick up. Others are a bit bigger. The biggest item in this room would probably be a surface that probably looked like a table or a desk that when you touched it had just a bigger sort of minor image display.
Lailai would like to try to figure out exactly what enchantment it is, or more detail about who enchanted it or what enchantment it is. But as they do that, they are going to shape change. And their skin is going to get paler, their features are actually going to shift, their eyes become human eyes, their hair becomes blonde and long, they get slightly taller, and they pull down their goggles. Yeah. I'd just like to know more.
Wallace has probably seen this a million times, but he is always impressed.
And what would you like to use?
I would like to use either sleight of hand or investigation. Sleight of hand isn't trained for me at all, but I feel like that's kind of what Lailai's doing, is using their hands to try to learn what's happening.
That's also an investigation.
Okay.
To figure it out. Do you have more points in sleight of hand?
No, more points in investigation.
Okay. Let's say you're doing an investigation, but with style.
Okay. Stylized investigation. Oh, that is a 5.
A 5.
Yes.
You can't get it open. It requires like a small tool to undo these screws. Like a regular Phillips head, it's going to be too blunt to get those babies open. And I think it's just sort of trying to get in it. I feel is the issue with Lailai here. Do you have detect magic by chance?
I do not. I do have to spell magic.
You do have to. Ooh. Okay. Okay. Coh'Jak, you're able to see this too. The same, when you see these items, you get a sense of what they do before you can utilize and pick them up. Meta speaking, all the items in this room are capable of producing or casting the effect of cantrips and first level spells. Looking around, various things as minor illusion, thaumaturgy, alarm, and other ritual casting first level spells and cantrip effects. You notice Barnaby is looking at the alarm.
That thing can cast a spell, Barnaby. An alarm spell. I can't tell if it's active or not. I wouldn't recommend touching it.
We can always break it.
Can we not break things?
I mean, if this one's going to cause us a hindrance, we could always eliminate that hindrance.
Is it really that in the way?
Would you like to leave it behind and be having something that we have to deal with when we come back? I don't like leaving stones unturned myself. Besides,
there's always a chance it belongs to someone.
Well, I mean, I saw the impressive feats that you and Lailai have done with spells. Surely we can undo this one. Let's break it. And then Barnaby kind of steps back.
I look for the first time in like a little bit. I look towards Lailai, who I imagine is still struggling to open a thing.
Mm-hmm.
What is your opinion?
Mine? I can't get it open.
Right. Sure. I'll. Of course. What do you need?
I need some kind of small tool.
Describe it for me.
Thin, broad, to about this size. Gets slightly thicker. Almost a pick, but not quite.
Right. I pull out a notepad and I start sketching quickly what I'm thinking this thing looks like. And it's really practiced. Like not just the sketching, but the act of like listening to Lailai and responding quickly in time to draw something very similar to what they're describing. And I hold up an image. Is this it?
Yes, that. You've seen one. Good.
No, I haven't. But you're describing things as well as you always do. Maybe if I would like to do something that's not necessarily covered by the rules, my friend.
What? If it's not not in the rules, get out of here. What do you think this is? Some kind of game? What do you want, my friend? What do you think?
I have a packed weapon that is an item very similar to, let's say, a knife, created out of thin air, thanks to, this association of a couple spirits. So if I said that I wanted something different, like...
You can create two different types of weapons with your pack weapon, is that correct?
I think I can create as much as, whatever I want last time.
You just then do what you want to do. It's magic. What am I going to do? Say no?
Well, technically it's supposed to... You know what? You're right.
Sorry, you can't make a screwdriver? That's the limitations of your spell? Your interdimensional weapon creating spell? Sorry, it can't be under two like that. No, I love it. It's just like a tiny glaive.
Yeah. I literally pick up the glaive and I toss it towards Lailai. And I snap my fingers And in 6 seconds, it shortens and twists and turns until the tip of it is still made of that crystalline matter, and the hilt of it is still made from that sort of scroll-worked bronze, but is the exact shape and size of what I wrote on my little notepad.
And with that magical device, Lailai is able to pop that device right on open. Inside of it, there is a smaller, really nondescript, faint color of light that seems to be kept in a almost like huge gel, like tab, kind of like swelling pill. But think of like a tiny gel capsule that's just bright. Tiny short little glow stick. This seems to be the source of whatever magical effect it is producing is coming from.
What's it made of?
If you were to pick up the gel tablet inside of it, where the light's coming from, it acts just the very same way. There is it's not quite the same like soft plastic light. It has some weight to it. Maybe it's glass-like. But if you were to remove the two pieces that kind of fit in together to keep it contained, it does fill out in that same kind of gooey-like substance. Except there is like quite a tingle to it if you touch it with your bare fingers. Not like when a cop touches fentanyl and then pretends to have an effect from it.
Right, of course.
But there is something to it that has a tingly but benign type effect. And soon after it touches the surface of your skin and is exposed out of the casing, the light starts to fade from it and it goes inert.
I imagine that Wallace saw all of this because he didn't really move from his spot when Coh'Jak came over to offer them the tool.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it does. But I do know how to stop it.
Here, let me... And I reach out to try and grab it.
The same device or the capsule that Lailai already opened up?
Capsule.
The capsule is empty with the substance inside of it is now inert.
Mm-hmm. There's no little bit of it that I can just...
It responds to you now kind of like scentless, flavorless petroleum jelly.
It was storing something, but the moment you opened it, it's gone.
It's gone.
Well, if that's the case, maybe we should keep from doing that in case we need one of these for later on.
Well, didn't you say one of them was an alarm? You could just stop it.
Wait, one of these is an alarm?
Isn't that what you said?
No, I said one of those is... And I point to the thing like Barnaby's looking at.
And then I immediately look and I see that Barnaby is next to... Barnaby!
This is at a point where Barnaby kind of tunes everything out because the more he looks at this device that is claiming to be an alarm, the more it reminds him of a time from before he was a gladiator living in the city, before he had this axe. And it has a similar glow to an object he has seen before that led to an incredibly traumatic moment in his life that he has vague memories of. Barnaby usually has his hair kind of like in his face and kind of nonchalant and chill, but right now he's beginning to feel a bit of a rage and he slicks his hair back. That's when you know shit is serious. So he can see more clearly, but he can't, like, you know when you watch a movie and the person's losing their mind and you can hear the chatter, but then it becomes like a dull roar and it's kind of faded. So Wallace will be saying, Barnaby, Barnaby, but it's It's like faded. It's like everyone's millions of miles away, because the color of this device triggers such a deep sensory feeling in Barnaby that he can no longer see straight. And at that point, he just knocks it onto the ground and stomps on it. And then begins to laugh.
I mean, okay, here's the thing. There's nothing to roll to knock something down and to stomp on it. First, if you're going to knock something off a table, you have a feline bonus to do that already.
I fucking hate you.
You're welcome. I know. I'm here for the entire session. I'm here for all 5 of them. I get to talk. And smash it you do. That blue glow ends. It glows no mo.
How much of Barnaby's existential crisis was visible?
A very brief amount of the crises was actually visible. After the hair flip and the manic laugh of everything's fine.
It's like one of those.
I'm not sure if everyone else is kind of like, oh, that's just Barnaby being Barnaby, or if Wallace is picked up yet. It's like, ooh, red flag.
Can I insight that?
Yeah, I'm gonna have that last insight score apply to this one as well.
Okay.
That 15 does allow you to kind of get a sense and a read of what your friends are going through.
Okay. If that's the case, then Wallace is just going to book it over to Barnaby and go, Barney, breathe.
Barnaby goes to take a deep breath, but still feels an intense anger and hatred. So was this device like on like a little pillar or anything? Or was it just like a bigger? Okay. So at this point, it would be where he holds his axe kind of like with the blade at the bottom, kind of like a shovel, and he just hits it for good measure. And he's like, I'm sorry, Wallace. I just had to get that out of my system.
I take his hands. Breathe.
Apologies, dear friend.
Don't apologize to me.
Barnaby would just nod, avoiding eye contact with Wallace, continuing to take deep breaths, and then would let go of his hands and place one on his shoulder and squeeze, and then look into his eyes and say, I'm okay.
You sure?
Out of character, that's a lie. But Barnaby says he's okay.
You sure? And he's just going to place another hand on the hand that's on his shoulder and give it a squeeze.
Never steered you wrong before, dear friend. Trust me on this one.
All right.
Wallace, how many times has Barnaby steered you?
In Barnaby's defense, we are still alive. We're still happy, I think.
This isn't the first time that Wallace has seen Barnaby like this. It was actually one of the first moments, earlier moments, but one of the first moments where a situation like this occurred. Wallace didn't know how to go about getting him to calm down. But things happen. Considering how the two of them met and how Wallace has noticed things about him since they decided to spend time together, there has been moments where he questioned whether or not he should and shouldn't, and then one time he did. And it was very obvious that he was frustrated. And Wallace right then and there made a decision that as long as he had anything to say about it, he'd do whatever it takes to make sure he never does that. Or at least as close as possible. He can't promise the world, but he can come close.
With the alarm device down and broken in the room, a majority of the light that was produced is now extinguished. The door to this room still remains open into a path that leads out.
Barnaby is ready to leave this room with an intensity.
If Wallace is going to keep up with the pace of Barnaby, and I don't know, Wallace is a Minotaur. I'm not going to associate with any cow behavior, so I'm just going to say that this is a thing that he does, and not associated with real life cow behavior at all. But
so I can't call you my brovine.
You can do that. You can do that. But since Barnaby is keeping pace, since Wallace is keeping pace with Barnaby, Wallace's tail is going to peek out of the slit in his trench and intertwine with Barnaby's.
Oh.
Barnes appreciates the gesture, but will quickly realize and then coil his tail back up because he doesn't want to be seen as vulnerable anymore.
We gonna head out, Jordan, or do you want to pick up some of these items?
It would be good to take them with, if we can.
Right. Let's do that. As long as you return it, I'm fine with that, Lailai. And again, he returns back to looking straight forward.
All right. Somewhat bonded, somewhat emotionally even more distant, the group proceeds to move ahead. And if there is anything that you wanted to recover or grab, we can always go back and retcon it to make sure it's in the right bag. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, let's say we got a nice inventory and catalog of different items that were in the room. Eventually, after heading out the door past the alarm device, leads into a corridor that's actually a smaller room that heads into another hallway that is once again long and narrow and leads to a single exit. This one once again sealed. However, this hallway has the other addition of having something up ahead slumped to the side next to that exit. Does anyone reignite their lights for those without dark vision?
Yeah, I do.
With the light of Coh'Jak's blade, you all move forward towards another door. This one has a dial, like the one with the gas room. However, Coh'Jak, you immediately sense that this one does have magic imbued with it. And as you approach even further, even closer to it rather, you see that the object that was slumped up against the wall to the side appears to be human shape, or humanoid shape rather.
This is my hole. It belongs to me.
With the only source of light coming from Coh'Jak, as you approach, you can see that whatever or whoever this was shares the same type of outfit with the same type of markings, with the exception of the missing tools and pack of the hunter from at the base of the mountain. However, for this one, it seems that they are missing their blood, and also something else.
Barnaby doesn't want to enter the room yet. He's still having a bit of a moment, so he will be hanging back, having his axe level with his face, and then tracing the heart shapes within it with his fingertips, saying, "You all press forward. I'm gonna need another moment."
Wallace is going to just give a slight rub on his side, just to assure that just to make sure as if to silently say if he needs me to stay behind with him or not.
As my number one fan, dear Wallace, I will always feel your support, no matter how close you are. You can press on with the others. I'll be just a moment.
All right.
Who enters this hallway first to approach the door?
Well, as the snow has proven, I can't see worth shit. So,
Lailai will.
All right. Produce flame.
No. Well, yes, but the way that produce flame happens is Lailai takes out a tinderbox and strikes it.
The fighters produce flame.
So produce flame. I see.
We produce flame, but we produce it a different way.
Okay, so Lailai is still in the form from earlier, hasn't shifted back to default. Cool.
Mm-mm.
Sorry for calling your first form default.
Default.
Lailai OG, Lailai Classic.
Lailai Classic.
The
This is
shiny
Lailai
version.
Light.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Crystal Lailai.
Lailai X.
Lailai Surge. All right.
Oh, let's just we'll see. Lailai Max.
This is the campaign now. Lailai Shasta.
Lailai Max for $15 a month.
Lailai
Lailai Plus.
I will not lose control. Lailai, as you approach this door and body, you feel that intense pressure of being inside this mountain immediately start to creep up upon you as this very eerie presence stands before you. Every step you take closer to the door, it feels more daunting as you approach it. Its mere presence in your field of vision gives you this very odd sense. Every piece of you, it feels like, every interaction, every building block that makes Lailai, and what makes them unique, seems to be ripped from them. The faces, the sounds of their voice, the cadence in every small personality tick starts to vanish before your eyes. You almost start to forget them. Forget what it feels like.
So, I mean, we were joking about the different forms of Lailai, but Lailai becomes Lailai Crystal, which is to say their eyes are usually green. They usually, like, they would have, sort of, I don't know, mid-tan skin in Lailai OG. They are now clear and their eyes glow, but it is generic form.
And besides the eyes glowing for Lailai, does anything else happen, or is anything manifest that others would take note?
They would probably notice that if Lailai speaks, then Lailai isn't moving their mouth.
Is it like one distinct voice, or is it like...
It's yes and no. It's every voice.
Oh.
But not even necessarily any voice that they've heard Lailai use before. Just every voice that Lailai's ever heard.
Gotcha. You all witnessed this. If any of you also step forward towards Lailai or the door, that same feeling of terror also arouses in all of you. Who would be the next one to step forward or to interact with the door?
Time for some Coh'Jak.
You just say that when you wake up in the morning, don't you? Look, the character.
Look out, world. It's time for some Coh'Jak.
Showtime.
We don't have to work Shaka. That's a perfect jingle. Perfect jingle.
Right? It was like a really refreshing beverage. And I think that helps because Barnaby is so thirsty to just have all these drinks around here.
Mm-hmm. I'm a short drink of very furry water.
We'll call that the
furry
fizz.
water.
That's the fizz. That's extra fizzy.
Yeah, it's extra fizzy.
Very textural experience. I'm sorry.
Okay. I'm going to try
We made it better.
As we've walked through these halls, their features have changed dramatically, and I think in this room, this is another time where, like, what is the purpose of this room? What is the purpose of this door? What's happening?
Are you using your magic eyes to figure out its secrets?
Yes, and also my knowledge of history.
Awesome. Give me that history roll, and I will tell you what you see with your eyes, and then with those numbers, what else you see.
It's a dirty 20.
A dirty 20? Awesome. Looking through, you've already established there's a connection between you and Lailai. Looking through them, you can see the myriad of others kind of like overlap. Do you know when they like take like 100 different people and they put their faces all together and they come up with a new face after you kind of mesh them all together? It's kind of like that, but with like an entire army all occupying the same exact the same exact point that Lailai is standing. They are all right there. The door that they are facing, you see so many more hands reaching out, faces, just the vision of folks wandering in and out and through. This door can only be locked by one means: death. It can only be opened by one means: death. The key to opening this lock is something has to die in its presence. And on that note, my friends, we're going to stop it right there. Thank you for joining us for today's session. Join us for session 2 next week, right here. Before we go, let's reintroduce our players, starting in reverse order at the bottom. Tell us your name, your pronouns, and where we can find you.
Hi. My name is Noorden Ali Kadir. Yes, Noorden Ali's first name. Don't know why it's that long, but it's the one I have. My pronouns are he, him, and you can find me online at Werewolf Feels, where I talk about my feelings of being a werewolf. I'm a tabletop writer and player and stuff, so you'll see a long list of projects. Have fun. I know I did.
That was so nice and succinct. Oh my god. See, I'm losing it. Hi, Courtney, pronouns they, them. That was a glimpse into Barnaby. But if you want a glimpse into more of my personal life, everywhere on social media, just look for Sparkly Kiss. I promise it's not all thirst just because the name Kiss is there. It was a really weird translation of Pikachu I made when I was 14. You do what you can. Anyways, sometimes I stream playing Nancy Drew games on Twitch. If you want to see me be afraid of a game based on children's books and detective stuff, I'm a coward.
Once again, hi, my name is LoadingReadyRun, pronouns he, him, and that's Wallace Bullheart, my Minotaur fighter with a bit of a fire lit under him. You can find me online on Twitter, Readus_101, READUS, the number 1, the number 0, the number 1, and you can find me on YouTube under the same name.
Leaves me. I am Chantel, pronouns they, them, playing Lailai, pronouns Crystal, them. The Grassland Druid. You can find me on Twitter at Chantel B. I'm a writer. I'm a track star. I'm not a track star. I'm a... Just head to my Twitter. I have a link tree. I have a link tree and it will tell you everything that I do. I'm also a psychologist, so I randomly spout knowledges.
And it's me, your dungeon comrade. What is Kiss? I am Kiss because I'm thirsty on the internet. Find me under What is Kiss, wherever you find your thirst needs on the internet. Actually, don't do that. But thanks for joining us here today for Alabaster Kingdom. It's been fun. It's been great. Okay, bye.